Hello, welcome to part 8 of this series. Part 8 already, yes. I'm starting out this video with a little image that I created. I was doing a bit of drawing, etc., trying to draw a unit for my first unit to put on the board. And I had some more detailed drawings, etc., and trying things out, etc. And then certain point I was, well, let's just make a simple stick figure drawing for now and use that. And then I edited it in the what it's called, photo editing software, like Photoshop. I'm using GIMP, but and then just to make the background transparent. And after selecting and doing something with the colors, filling it out, it became this. And I was actually pretty happy with the result. It reminds me of cave drawings, prehistoric cave drawings. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll just go with a style like this, at least for now while working on it. I kind of like the style. I think it goes well with my game. And I also drew some other things because, like I gave it a spear and a bow, but in the game mechanics later on, this is the hunter-gatherer, and should be able to get some upgrades. So at certain point it has a horse, it has other things. So um, I want to make drawings of those different things. So so I might just go with a style like this, like a cave drawing style, and we'll see how it goes for buildings, etc. I thought let's start this video with this image because like last video I said I was starting with the placing the first unit on the board and being able to move it. That was my next point of the list of doing things. And but instead last video I was doing a bit of perfectioning of the game board. So yeah, in this video I will go into starting the process of everything that comes up, and I want to put a unit on the board. So that's quite a lot. So let's start with that. So here I am in the Gameloop class that I already made before, and this is some old code that I found somewhere as an example of a game loop. Because to place my first unit, I was thinking I can maybe just, like I had before, I had some functionality to place some squares on the board just by clicking to have something to place to try out that stuff. And I was thinking I might do the same within the first unit. It's my notes. And I was thinking I might do the same with the first unit. And then I was thinking I need I talked about it in my last video. I need a data structure to contain units and buildings, and I settled for Arraylist in the end. And then I was thinking, where do I create those units? Well, every tile should have a data structure to contain the units that are on that specific tile, and I need other functionality later, like to have an oversight of what kind of units and buildings you have on the board, etc., and what you can place and resources you have. And I need to be able to move it. I need the neighbors of the tiles, the places where it can move to. Well, first, maybe a simple version where I don't take into account where they can and cannot move, but at least I need the possibility to see where it can move directly adjacent to the tile where it's on. But then, to actually be able to place the unit, the beginning of the game will be that you get one hunter unit and you can place it on the board somewhere, or it get placed on the board. So I thought maybe I should just start with a game loop that that gives you a unit that you can place, or like I said, it places a unit for you. But so I was like, okay, that's one of the things. Like I want to place a unit, but I need all kinds of systems. Start to create all kinds of systems to make that possible. And I was like, I might as well. It's much more efficient to start right away with the game mechanics that allow you to place that unit and then to actually place it and move it. So that's what I started doing here. in this footage, I started to. Oh, my source was actually not screen wide, so I'm just right away. I'm asking ChatGPT, and by the way, I'm using. I started using ChatGPT4 or GPT-4 the last video. So from now on, everything will be in GPT-4, as you can see here. So I ask if it can give me a start of a Gameloop class for turn-based game, and that I want to start with creating one instance of Hunter and being able to place it on the board and then move it the next turn. And I posted the Gameloop class as far as I have it now. So it gives me a pretty extensive example of what a what a game loop should have. It does include some code that would be in the main class, and I think later on I merged the game loop and the main class. Not quite sure. I kind of like this. This is a very basic example, and you will likely need to modify and expand upon it depending on your specific game requirements. For example, you may need to handle different types of units, game state updates, or user interactions. Yeah, probably will. But I love the pretty extensive answer that it gives me. Really gives me something to work with here. So here I have my new hunter in the game loop, but it's missing WH arguments. I think it's called. I'm still not sure. And the tile position, because I created something called tile position before that has different positions on the corridor tiles and on the culture tiles. Well, culture tile is just one position in principle. But in the videos before, I added those corridor zones, that subdivision of the corridors. So corridor has 3 positions, maybe 4 if I allow something to be put in the middle. I'm not quite sure about that. It might be if I want to place buildings or maybe even the hunters because they can move all over. So I think I will have the 4th position as well. But the way I implemented that before, I'm not gonna work with that anymore. So, but I made it that all pieces need you can see that here. I'll zoom in a bit. You can see that here that I have every piece has like here tile position. I take that away. I might in the future I might need to be able to retrieve its position because I could make a data structure for every position. I have like a unit list on every position, but I think that will be for every tile. There will be also for functionality reasons there will be a list that contains the units, a data structure. So, but when they are put in there, and for later use, they need to be. I need to when I put in there, I need to assign to start with on what kind of tile they are. That should be I should be able to retrieve that, hey, whether it's on a culture or corridor tile to start with, and then on a corridor tile, I need to be able to retrieve in what position it is. One of the 3 zones, the subdivisions are in the center. So every unit and building should be able to have that data, but I don't think I want every instance of a unit, for example, to need those coordinates, even the WH, because yeah, I'm not sure how that works, but yeah, I can have units on the board, but I might also have units that you can place or buildings that you can place that um, are not placed yet, that are in some kind of list. I was thinking like your empire overview. And I think for that you need an instance of that class as well, but an instance that's not placed. As far as I understand it now, that is. They only get those attributes when they're placed on the board, of course. But then maybe there's another kind of functionality to make like a virtual instance. I have no idea. So something to find out while doing this. So I'm going into the hunter class at least to take out those position things, and in the superclass piece and unit, because they of course were asked everywhere. So I don't have the WNH variables. Oh yeah, or do I? No, I don't. I don't have them in the Gameloop because that is not a subclass of the board elements and the tiles, the units, the buildings. So I don't have access here to the WH arguments, the coordinate. I don't have access to the coordinates. So I create them here, and as far as I understand now, uh, there should be better ways of doing that to not have duplicate those things. I should just what is it, call them from somewhere else where I do define them. But maybe not, huh? Maybe that's just a way. I'm not sure about that. If that's just a way to make them available without doing anything with it in this class or any other class. I'm still not quite sure how that is related. Oh, here's my main class with hardly anything in it. User interface. So now oh yeah, I called it logic before. My game loop was called logic for some reason, because I wanted to implement game logic there. So now I add a new instance of game loop to my main class. Ah yeah, here I have my game loop, my notation. It was called logic, maybe more logic than game loop, as it's supposed to describe the logic of units, buildings, and resources. This class seems to get a bit of both at the moment. Yeah, that's something I need to work on. No, I changed it to public instead of private. Oh, so I add a field of unit called hunter to the game loop class. I'm now just taking over what JGP said, like it has a hunter, but for me that's an instance of. Yeah, I could even make it field of hunter, so like it does. But now I'm just taking over what I understand from the examples ChatGPT gave me. Like here, the Boolean is unit placed. He says it here. He gives it as an example. And then in the game loop, the board. Okay, I have other stuff for the board. Okay, an instance of hunter. And then it initializes the Boolean with false, because it's not placed yet, of course. when it's first instantiated, the Hunter instance. But for me, this is even more than what I was doing before. This is really where ChatGPT shines in my team of this. Can it teach me programming and help finish my game? So yeah, like I said, I want to place the hunter. I've decided I needed this and that. Maybe I had some interactions with ChatGPT about those things. I don't have, I haven't recorded everything. Sometimes I just have an idea and I want to ask it right away. And yeah, like the conclusion is, okay, I need a game loop. So I ask it, give me an example of, like you saw, like how would typically, I want this. I only described, I want to be able to place one unit and then next turn move it. And it gives me all this code that isn't exactly like it says, also not adapted at all the rest of my code, because it cannot read all my classes when I don't ask it. I can have a conversation where I posted like most of my classes, but I have some subjects where I try to do that, where it already has my classes. But it gives like a framework from which I can start and then try to see what code I already have, the way I work, because yeah, I do things differently. I have a class for this, I have a class for that, and it's not always done like that. So then it's a process. Okay, this is like the framework it gives me, and I'm starting to implement little thingies of that. And yeah, from there on, I have it gives me a starting point. It's not like, oh, this is the solution. I'll copy paste everything it does. No, it's a starting point. It's an okay. Uh, Stop and rewind because I posted something. I'm not sure what. Okay, so I posted my user interface class. No. Yes. No. Wait. Go back. Okay, so yeah, I posted my main class, and then in the main class it sees I'm instantiating the user interface class. It starts to answer, but I stop it. It seems to have a main class that initializes a user interface and endpoint. So I posted my user interface as well. And then, yeah, as far as I know, I posted them both now. So it seems like you have a main class with a constructor and a user interface and a game loop. If you'd like to create a term-based game loop, you can modify the game loop class from my previous answer and integrate it into your main class. So now, yeah, it actually gives me the game loop thing and I made a game loop class. And now it helps me give an example to integrate all that game loop stuff in the main class actually, which is pretty logical because, and when stuff gets too big, I can always separate it. But yeah, I was with this first answer, I was like, okay, start game, etc. That's more a main class thing. I can be wrong. I'm just, I know nothing, but so but that's yeah, I love this again. I love this. It just says, okay, you have this and that. Let's integrate it. It's more efficient, more logical. So it added a method, start game loop. Oh, I think yeah, no, it didn't really integrate them. It just added a method to the main class to. Oh, was this response better because I stopped the last response? So it just gives a method to initialize the game loop in its specific game loop class. I know. Apparently, I posted the user interface just now. With this is the current user interface class. No. Oh, why do I let? Don't scroll. Right. And then it says, okay, it creates a graphical interface, and then it gives stuff how I can integrate the game loop and the user interface class. And this update adds a print board method. A print board method. Yeah, that's funny for the code already have. Accepts the board objects and etc. etc. And the canvas repaint method call ensures that the board is redrawn. I need to look in that. The way I redraw my board now is very inefficient. I found out a while back. You may need to modify your board class, etc. Yeah, it doesn't know my board class, of course. It's called paint component. I already have all that stuff. So back to the answer it gave before when it added the start game loop method to the main class. To, like it said, main method class, which uses the game loop instance to update the game state. And you can modify the game loop class from the previous answer. Remove the start game method and expose methods like isHunter, placeHunter, moveHunter, getBoard to be used by the main class. Additionally, you may want to update the user interface class to accept the board object in the printBoard method, etc. So that's why I posted those other thingies. But I don't know what does expose methods means. So I asked that. It refers to making certain methods in a class publicly accessible so that they can be called from other classes or objects. Yeah, that's what the public an access modifier. I need to remember that term. I never know what it's called. Because yeah, basically what most in examples, ChatGPT starts with the most restricted access modifier, private. And for a lot of my code where I'm now, it's not needed. But I already asked it before about the difference between all those and the advantages and disadvantages of doing using either one or the other. By making these methods public, you allow other classes like the main class to interact with the game loop instance, etc. Right. So I paste the instance of game loop into my main. I have a part of code here commented out that I copied over from ChatGPT. I think it's another chat I had before. I just declare a field of game loop in the main class. So that's mostly how I work. I check what I think I can use, and then I copy paste it. I rarely copy paste the whole thing because I want to understand what it's about, and some things I already have. So, and I don't want to replace my code. I just use it to adapt the code I already have. And even then I like to retype it sometimes, except when I'm lazy, of course. So I start adapt a bit my main class and the while loop for the start game loop that I put in there. Then I'll wait for next turn method and the main. I already have the main. Oh, so here I started a new piece of footage that comes after the footage I had. And here apparently the history is temporarily unavailable for ChatGPT. That happened like a few times when it was all coming out, because this is from March 21 I see here. So that's like, yeah, exactly 2 months ago. And it was had some trouble at the beginning. They had some trouble at OpenAI. So here I'm pretty miffed that I don't have my history. So I'm not sure how I go on. Maybe I. So it seems I don't feel like waiting till the history is back. So I just asked ChatGPT if it can help me write the start of a game loop class. And the same at first, I want to be able, same as last time, same at first, I want to be able to place and move a hunter unit. And then here's the code I have so far, but you can ignore the hash map code because I'm going to use Arraylist probably. Copy the Gameloop class in there. Oh, that's nice. I've cleaned up the code a bit, removed the hash map code as you requested, and created an array list for storing units. I've also rewritten some of the methods to make them clearer and more focused. Here's the updated version. Oh yeah, it says I don't think I have that in my code at all, the array list here. So that's great that I just mentioning that I want to get the hash map out and change it to array list. Bloop, bloop, bloop. It makes that. It initializes an available units array list, update. With a method if available units is empty, etc. And to select available unit. In this updated version, I've added an array list called available units to store available units. Also change the placement method to work with the array list. Now you can place a hunter, and it all got that from the hash map code that I wanted to throw away. So that's yeah, sometimes it's pretty amazing, and all that from just some very, very simple instructions. So then I decided to also repost my main class, and it tells me that it looks like I'm trying to integrate the game loop in my main class, and it gives me an updated version of the main class. And it added the isHunted_placed method to the game loop, as well as the place unit and move unit methods. I've made some adjustments to the start game loop method to make it more appropriate for your use case. Please note that you'll need to implement the place unit, move unit, isHunter_place, and getBot methods in your game loop class for this to work. Because they are not implemented, I guess. I'm not sure if I implemented in my game loop class yet. I also love the annotations that it gives. It even gives coordinates with it because I have these WH attributes probably, not sure. Maybe it's just because it's a standard thing to do. Very clear and concise annotations. Helps a lot for what it's trying to tell me. Oh, now I need to implement it in Gameloop. Don't scroll up. Show me what it's doing. Oh, sometimes I really get on my own nerves scrolling up and that. But so here it gives me an example of how I could implement it in the Gameloop class actually. I know the coordinates are something it invented itself. Those are not mine. But yes, of course, it's a standard thing to place something on a board. I told it was for a board game, so turn-based maybe. But yeah, to get the right coordinates, I must be able to select the tile on which I want to place the unit. So I need something I'm going to work on next to be able to get retrieve a specific tile when I click on it, etc. Or I let the game decide randomly where to put the first unit. But I don't think so. Might depend later on. Might depend on the game mode actually. So I also posted the user interface class. It tells me it seems to handle the graphical aspects. You may want to add a method to display the game board state in the console. can do this by adding a print board method that takes a board object as a parameter. This will allow you to print the board state in the console when running the game. Yeah, that's not what I need because I have a whole board thingy already. So visualize the game state in the console. I do need, I think I said it in the last video or before, I might need some print this and that functionality to print stuff out in a console for stuff that isn't necessarily shown on the board, so that I can see if there's results, like what I'm going to do to get a certain tile, and also it's funny though, it gives a double array of tiles. It's just standard. But I was saying, yeah, like get a specific tile or print stuff that is in one of the unit arrays, so that I can check if it's all working correctly. I don't have anything like that yet in my code, and that would be pretty efficient, instead of having to instead of being only able to check if everything is working when it's drawn on the screen on the board, because there's more things than just, yeah, like I want to see what's in one of those lists that it's creating, or like the available unit there, or just units that are there. Before I have a visual of that, I need all kinds of visual stuff to be implemented, and a position, and etc. etc. But so it's pretty hard to check if some of those things are actually present and working. Like I had when implementing the corridor subdivision zones. It was getting drawn all in the same place, and I was thinking it wasn't working. If I would have had something that printed to the console, I would have known. So it's pretty stupid. So in here I posted my whole board class because it keeps telling me this print board stuff. What was its answer? I kind of missed its answer here. Oh, there was a whole lot more when it talked about the print board. Pause. Yeah, you need to implement getTiles method in your board class and the toString method in your tile class for this to work. These implementers will depend on how you represent the board, etc. Yeah, I might, like I said, I might need to do that anyway. Additionally, you may want to connect user interface class to the main class so you can access game state from the main class. Yes. You can do this by passing the Gameloop object to the user interface constructor, and then update the user interface class constructor to accept the Gameloop object. Yes, well, this is a bit too much for my poor brain at that moment, but I will get to that. It gives examples, but I don't really get what this is all about right off of here, I think, as I remember correctly. And this way you can access the game state directly from the user interface class and update the board visualization accordingly. Yeah, of course, I need access to that from the user interface at some point. So I shared my board as well, my board class. See about it. Each hexagon has both a culture tile and a corridor tile. Yeah, that's you who gave me that code. And I wasn't very happy about that method, but of making the argument. But then I saw it might be a good way of doing that. Except that I already now when I was fiddling with the board in another in the last video, I already wanted a grid instance without culture tiles. So, is there a specific question or issue you would like to help with? Please let me know. So didn't understand why I posted the board class apparently. Can you repeat the code you suggested for printboard method with the current board class code that I posted? please. Please. Oh yeah, I apologize for the confusion. I can see that the print board method as earlier is not complete with the board class you provided. Here's an updated print board method that should work with your current implementation. Yeah, gives it the same. And like I said, it might be interesting to do that still. Make a little notation. Yeah, like I said, I might still do this to avoid having the same problem as when I was doing the corridor zones, because that was yeah, that I could have avoided hours and hours of searching if I had a print output and if I could see that it was actually initializing all the things correctly, and thus I would have understood sooner that it was the rendering where the problem was, and the transformation of the coordinates. So I'm starting to put in the available units array list here. So it suggested me to initialize a new array list in the constructor, and apparently I'm having trouble with the how to declare it in the as a field here. Why rename field available units? Not sure why it's bugging out. So I take away my the hash map stuff I had there. I hope I also take away the select available unit. It wasn't. That was for something else with the key set the iterator. That was for a hash map. Yeah, I take it out as well. Good. When looking at this at the moment, it seems I seem to make it only more messy than it already was. But anyway. Okay, now the red line under available units, the available units field is gone. So maybe it was because I had the the same field used for the hash map, same name. So now I'm just taking the stuff from ChatGPT. I thought WH position should be assigned when placing the unit and then change when moving. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, it's not even when I want to use an instance somewhere else on the screen or whatever, it doesn't always have the WH attributes, especially not when it's just being initialized for placement in a list, in the available unit list. It doesn't doesn't have. So I'm not sure how that works. That, like, I understand it if you put it there behind between the brackets, what it's called as an argument, it needs to have it when initialized, as far as I understood. Maybe I'm wrong. Oh, I seem to start to get the bright idea to put the screens one next to the other. Not entirely yet, but when going through this footage, like I said, I'm playing my old footage in OBS as a file, a media source. This footage actually is over 2.5 hours long, but there's no way to fast forward or anything. And when I scroll, like use the little bar to advance the video, it's possible. You can pause it and stop it, etc., and move it forward by dragging a bar. Because the video is so long, it moves quite. The increments are pretty large. So when doing this, when I have to move it very slowly, and even then I miss. It's pretty big increments. So it's very easily to miss what was going on. The inconvenience of doing it this way, but yeah, as far as I could think of, this is the most efficient way to play it, just as play the file in OBS as a source. So I'm really struggling now to merge or to integrate what ChatGPT gave, all the examples it gave, to integrate it in my different classes. So for the placement method, inside the placement method, there is it calls a method to select the available unit, and the available unit method needs to get an unavailable unit from the available unit list. So yeah. And then when it has found an available unit with those other methods, I should be able to place it. With the place unit method. And while placing it, it should be added to a unit list on the tile. It's pretty good, by the way, doing these videos, because this footage is about 2 months old, and it cost me so much time to edit all these videos and learn everything, and getting a bit of a, how do you say it, a rhythm, a flow with it. So especially this stuff, this all was pretty new for me, what I'm doing here with ChatGPT, and it's pretty good to review it like this, so that I'm back up to date what I was doing, where I was. So it's actually pretty good. Apparently, I decided to change available units into placeable units for some reason. Not sure why. In retrospect, place able unit. Yeah. Maybe I found a difference between units that are available and units that are placeable. Who knows? I don't remember, so nobody knows, in fact. Must have been a pretty important reason. I'm sure of it. Pretty sure. Yeah, I had the place unit method down there. I'm just taking over the place unit method that ChatGPT suggested. I hope I think of deleting the other one. Not right away, it seems. So here as well in the uh, I missed in the available units list. It would be a very good idea to put a print to console thing when I put in a unit, when I take out the unit. I realized while reviewing this, I already said it, but I really need to use the console for those things. I saw in one of its examples that, like, wait for next turn or press enter for next turn. It's really, oh, I need to fix that error message too. Probably said it before, but not sure what's going on there. Yeah, that I should really start using the console for those kind of things to see what's going, especially like this. If I'm doing the whole process of creating these lists, etc., etc., selecting a tile, and I'm not sure if it's doing anything, if the list is actually contains an instance, or that that the thing is actually selected, etc., etc. It would be really good to do that. Now I think I finally take out my old place unit method. That would be a smart thing to do. Yep, it's gone. That's good. So I seem to be going over the methods and fields, etc., that still have like a red underline. to actually make it work and to implement it elsewhere if needed. I need to make unit list in tile, yes, and add unit method and add unit method, yes. Probably should. Mr. Obvious. No, it's easy to say afterwards. Inside placeable units. Okay, yeah, I didn't change it yet. Oh, that might be why I changed it to placeable unit. Typing I need a list for units with an action which can move, attack, or build. And that's maybe why I changed it from available unit. Because you can place units, you can move, attack, etc. That's probably why I changed it. Available would be too general, maybe too general. Like I said before, I like really names that help me understand what it's actually doing. And available could also be like a unit that is, like I said, that has actions and etc. So it's mostly to keep it understandable for myself, those kinds of things. I mean, later on, what it's called in game, etc. That's a whole other thing, of course. But yeah, I'm looking at other hash maps I still have that were for resources, etc. I think I didn't remember at the moment, but I have a whole other class for resources that was very, very much in the beginning with ChatGPT. It suggested to make a separate class for that, which is pretty logical because it has nothing to do. I put it in Gameloop for some reason. Yeah, and here I decide to do as ChatGPT suggests, make a field of. I already had the field user interface, and here I make it. How is it called? Not sure, but instead of just instantiating new user face, I make a field. And, as far as I understand, it's what it talked about before. Is making what was it called? Exposing to give it access. Like I was before, I was doubting whether creating fields of W and H, whether that is good practice, etc., etc. Which yeah, this would at least be logical in main that I have an instance of user interface and one instance of Gameloop available. That would be logical. So that's not really about the WH. It's quite something else. I really have a lot of progress still to make on understanding how all that is related. So many ways, different ways that the instances of the classes, etc., are related to one another and can be related and should or shouldn't be related, and what is best practice, etc. That's oh, it's pretty vague in my head, but it's starting to. With the help of ChatGPT, like I can ask it, explain that this on that concept to me. It's starting to make a lot more sense since I'm doing this. But yeah, there's a lot of progress still to be made though in there. Yeah, now I have a field Gameloop so that I can with the what is it called? With the point, it's an operator. What was it called? I can easily access its fields. That's one of the things that I have to learn better. So now I'm trying to tell in main that if the placeable unit list isn't empty, of if there aren't any placeable units, that it goes to placing the unit. And I'm taking out the coordinates it gave to it because they're not useful for me. Taking out a bit of of old stuff. Yeah, I was creating, like I said before, I was creating a bit of a mess, so I don't know why I didn't take out that stuff. Maybe as, like I said, I'm going back and forth between ChatGPT and my code to see what I can replace with what also, see how I can integrate it. Else, so it's either place unit or else an action, like move or attack, etc. Build. Taking out some other old stuff, Gameloop stuff. Oh yeah, I decided to, ChatGPT suggests a move unit, and I decided to call it action, because I will have other actions. Let's set a moment to be able to decide what action. Yeah, that's one action too, of course. Yeah, move, attack, build, action unit. Okay. So yeah, really going back and forth here to try to wrap my head around how I can take its code and put it in mine. And apparently, in the meantime, deciding on the naming of stuff. So here I'm calling in the main to Gameloop place unit, but it takes arguments of a unit. I think that's the problem. I seem to be kind of lost what's going on. Select unit for placement. So method in Gameloop. At least here in first turn I have place unit. I call this place unit method, but I think I have to replace that with select unit for placement. It's kind of useless, I think, because I can have that in the place unit method. So that's I have a strong impression that I'm really stuck here. Because, like I said, it's a lot of going back and forth between ChatGPT, all the things it told me, all the example code and my code. So turn. Okay, yeah, I changed it from first turn. That was kind of weird to have a specific thing for the first turn. Maybe select unit for placement. But I'm taking that method, and I think I'm doing things a little too complicated. Like I said, I can just have the place unit method have it select a unit that's available for placement. So I'm not sure why I'm doing this. Oh, I take out turn entirely now. The method move unit is undefined, but I don't see a move unit method being called anywhere. So I'm not sure where that comes from. Maybe I have a bracket problem. Looking around, scrolling around. I saw that ChatGPT was suggesting to pass a Gameloop instance in the user interface constructor, and I tried it in main. I tried to do it, but of course it doesn't work because my user interface class doesn't take Gameloop as an argument. Here up here it says your new user interface Gameloop. I'm trying to reproduce that in my main class, but yeah, that obviously doesn't work. So now I use it to, yeah, and now I add it as an argument. So, but I'm totally not sure why that would be a good thing or anything like at this point. So yeah, and then I added this game loop is game loop. So yeah, apparently the idea probably got it from chat or so. But yeah, like I said, that's something I can't really wrap my brain around. Apparently, I'm passing an instance of game loop to user interface, which it talked about. Oh, this is the print board thingy, which it talked about. So, but don't really understand it. And I do seem to have decided to copy paste the print board method that it suggested in my board class. Oh, it even has get class, get simple name thing in the, oh, maybe it had it, got it from some string, or it thought of it itself. But all my tiles do have a name, a string name, so as far as I know, so that's not really needed. But the string name is the same as the class name, so both would work. I'm changing the get class and get simple name to get tile name, because normally I do have that method defined in tile, as I know. That would be more simple. So I also took the method from gpt about the get board to call the print board function. There's nothing in there, so I'm not sure what I'm doing with that. Actually, I don't know why I don't put it in the board class itself. Yeah, so I here have some pieces of code that I tried for my resources, and then I seem to remember that I already have a resource class. I put all that stuff in there with oh, that was too fast. I don't know what kind of data structure I use for it. And then I have here still a hash map with max total pieces, etc. Something about the total units. Yeah, this goes to Empire class I write. It's I need something yeah, that represents all we have. Do I take this out? Up? Yes, I take out all that hash map stuff there. Yeah, I can sometimes take out old stuff, old code, old um, comments, etc. Very refreshing to clean up a bit sometimes. So I'm back to the board get board method, which is, like I said, empty, or you need to implement this based on your representation. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, apparently I'm missing at this point when I'm doing this, missing that I just have to call the, not this get board stuff, but the method I just posted, copy to board. I just need to call that method somewhere. So, like this print board, I just have to put it somewhere. That's all, but I seem to have a problem with that. I'm not sure if I don't think I get it to work, or that I continue implementing it. Oh, I have the smart idea to ask how ChatGPT how I could use it in a Gameloop class in the get board method. Don't know why I would want to do that. Yeah, like I said, easy like that. But I have what was it? Yeah, the method I put in board. I can just call it whenever I want. But that's stuff that, yeah, I just recently I start to understand that a bit better. I'm still lost. It seems totally lost. Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Seeing the whole of a conversation above, what would be a logical place and way to integrate the getboard and printboard methods? And what would be the use of that? Yeah, I don't need getboard method as far as I know. It's already in. I only need the method I posted in. I pasted into board. Okay, this would be useful. Yeah, that getboard, yes, that could be useful. Yeah, debugging purposes, exactly. That's why I might want to have that. Oh yeah, it was like, oh, it's starting very, very generalist, but yeah, generalized, but it's actually useful. The run method, that's the main loop. It can handle turns and events. And a while, specific for each player's turn or specific event, you can call the printboard method using getBoard, etc. This will print the board state after each event, so you can see how the board changes throughout the game. And then it's a basic example. Yeah, it's just to represent the current state of the board, game state, etc. Yeah. Remember that the printboard method is mainly for debugging or text-based games. Yeah, debugging. In a graphical game, you would typically display the board state using the draw method in the board class or other graphical rendering methods. Yes, yes. Can you read back the board class code I posted before and give me an example of a getBoard method, please? Because it doesn't have a separate Gameloop class. No need to create a GameBoard method. Instead, you would instantiate and use the board object directly within your Gameloop or main class. For example, you could have a separate main class that initiates and runs the game. Yes, that's what I do. Yeah, here it would be handy if it would just have all my classes and my stuff in its memory. So, but like I can, yeah, when I was making it, I couldn't, of course, but now I can use plugins, etc., in ChatGPT. And I understand there's this coding assistance, but as far as I understand it, it's only for Python. So, and I'm not sure if that's, yeah, as far, and there might be extensions for some, what is it called, IDEs, coding assistants that can read and see your whole code all the time, so that you don't have this kind of stuff. Well, at the same time, for me, it's pretty useful because it forces me to think and to learn stuff instead of that some AI tells me everything because it knows all my code. So this back and forth between it, it's pretty what it's called. It's pretty useful for me to learn stuff. So, but when I read what real programmers and people who with more technical skill than me are doing with all of it, there should be possibilities to do this way more efficiently. But I don't know how for now. So, all right. So I initiated my new board. I initialized it in a user interface, and I moved it to main here. Trying things out. It seems. Yeah, as far as I understand, all those kinds of things that probably might be best practice and logical things, but it's not necessarily one way or the other. Probably someone who knows something about this feels like killing me now for saying that, but so I'm taking out the field, the board field as well, putting it in main. Not really sure if this is at all useful what I'm doing right now, but apparently I had an epiphany as how and why that would be a great thing to do at that point in time. Oh yeah, that's because it says that creates the board in main. Yeah, that would be kind of logical, I think. Might be weird to create it in the user interface. Like I said, might be different ways of looking at it here, but different possibilities to be sure. But yeah, probably there's something to be said. Like I'm too much of a noob to have my own design philosophy yet. So it's good to experiment and to think about it different ways, like I'm doing, and being confronted with the consequences of my choices later on, and I'm thinking, oh, that isn't logical. I really do love like logical structures and everything, so I don't like it to be messy. So if I understand more about different design philosophies, I will probably adopt a certain style. That's for sure. But now it's mostly experimenting. Oh, ChatGPT says it can be done like it should do it like this, or it can be done like that. Oh, let's try that, etc., etc. Just bumbling along. I see something weird, by the way. It's like I don't have a main in my, so I don't have a constructor in my board class. Or is it? It's not a constructor with those brackets. It's like it's not an abstract class, is it? Or is it? Ah, yeah, of course it's a yeah, of course it's a constructor. I was bugging out. And then this constructor, I only have it only calls the initiate random board method. When I create of that class in another class is automated random method. Yes, of course. I'm not sure what I'm getting at here. Okay, so why would I need board point init random board? Oh yeah, no, because I don't understand it. That's that method that ChatGPT is giving us an example. It uses the field board, and then it accesses the method, the random initialize random board method. No, I don't need to call it in the main class. Oh, okay. Yeah, of course it does. So that's just. No, wait a minute. It is creating a field board of type board, and that's being initialized with a new instance of board. Oh yeah, and oh no, I did understand it correctly. And then it calls that method. Yeah, which is necessary. And I must be very careful to never call this method anywhere else except when creating the board, because it will just randomize the board again if I don't make it like that it cannot be done. So, but yeah, this is it while initializing the board. So okay, so this exactly, this wasn't necessary. Like it wasn't needed to call that init random board method. On top of that, I should never call that method except when creating a board, because it would initialize a new random board. Okay, so that was some confusion. That was a little example of where it gets things wrong, or says superfluous things, or gives superfluous code. That can happen. Maybe it's more common to not use that method of that class in its constructor, but when it's calling an instance, when some other class is calling an instance of that constructor, yeah, that would be logical. That's why, because it's just doing what's most probable. ChatGPT. It's like if I want a board, but I don't want to initiate. If I want an instance of board for something else, but I don't want to initialize the random board, or maybe I want to initialize a board a different way. I still want the board class. So the way I use it is often is like cascading. Um, yeah, stuff is creating stuff automatically, etc. And I think a better way of doing things is creating objects which have methods which can create a specific behavior. Like I've read specific behavior of that object in certain cases, etc. But you have like a toolbox, and you call that from somewhere else, and you choose some tools specific for that situation, instead of what I'm doing that way more often. Like I said, it's like a cascade also with my subclasses and everything with my structure. It might not be, yeah, of course, some places you want every instance of a class to use a certain method, but then you could just include it in the constructor instead of creating a separate method. Starting slowly to understand little tidbits of how that stuff supposed to work. So that might be the reason why it gives a weird thingy here. So what am I doing? Still staring at my classes and flipping around. Now I'm doing something in the tile class. Took out old code for that old position stuff that I had in there. I'm not sure why I'm in my tile class right now. Did I maybe start the tile stuff already? Yeah, taking out some more tile position. Here I'm staring at some code I had for is unit allowed, is building allowed, and I've made some annotations about the logic that I would want to have there if it's allowed in the unit list, if allowed state is that. I had some other strings there, some stuff. Yeah, while working through this, I see old code that either now I understand I really don't need, or I know better how it functions, like now what I'm doing now with the game loop and the tile selection, etc. That has an effect on some weird old experiments I had in there. So that gives an occasion to clean stuff up. It's really satisfying because my whole code is one big mess of since I started learning this. And there's all kinds of old crap in there. Tile name, tile total defense bonus, and something else. There's stuff that that's will still be useful in the future. Oh yeah, I know why I'm in the tile. Of course I wanted to make the unit array on a tile because in the game loop, yeah, I have this available unit thingy, etc. And I can just add a unit to that one. But now I want this array list of units on a tile to be able to place it on a tile as well. Placeable units, add. Oh yeah, I do add one to the placeable unit list, and from there it goes onto the board. I am looking into the notation for an array list. I didn't work with that before, so not sure why I don't just take the other here. But I love to look at the Oracle docs sometimes with all the notations, all the methods, all the nice overview. Units on tile. What am I on about? It's not that hard. Oftentimes it's really, really painful to watch myself doing doing God knows what. Yeah, apparently I don't get it to work. Yeah, you must give it a name, maybe. Why is it so hard? Oh, maybe I had an error thingy and I didn't know why. Error list unit and name. It's not that hard. I really don't have no idea what I'm doing here. Why it's so hard. And now I'm suddenly here. What's your problem, man? Yeah, because I took it away, yes. And then I need get board in user interface friend. I moved the creation to main, but then and also the field. No, you cannot put a draw function in the main like that. No. And why am I suddenly doing that? I was in the. Oh my god. Oh my god. It's hard. Sometimes really hard. Oh, what am I doing? Yeah, you had that in there and then you were drawing it in there. Yeah. And now you moved it and now it's fucked up. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but you don't have a board anymore. So you need to get board method here or something or whatever. Oh my god. Yeah, let's just move it back. That would be a good idea. Or maybe do a double. Oh my god. I stopped it. I'm going back to there. Yes, Arraylist units on tile. Right? Doesn't need to take an hour or something like that. I am looking for the. I know I need to add unit to list. By the way, it was funny. I was looking at the code I had in Gameloop, and it says board point tile point um, add unit to list. Slowly starts to dawn how you can access do something with a method of another class to like this in this case add the unit to a list in that class, etc., and you can call it from another place. And yeah, I had some weird ideas about programming, and I have since I started using it, like I said before there, that weird kind of. My brother once told me that I have a tendency to do, what is it, procedural programming in the way I structure my stuff, etc. Maybe that's the thing. I don't I don't really know what that means, of course, but um, in the sense that that's apparently another way of programming than object-oriented programming. I seem to effectively, like I said, have some kind of cascading order of things thinking instead of like here you have some stuff that does some stuff over there. I don't even know how to explain it, but it was like a bit of an aha moment I had there. So yeah, let's just ask ChatGPT if it can give an example of how to write code for the add units on tile method and the get units on tile method. That will probably be more efficient than trying different stuff for hours. Should be pretty easy though. I give the tile class with it, so it can have fun with that. I also like how it can abbreviate other parts of the class. We'll skip that over for now. It's still pretty amazing what it does. If units on tile is no, oh yeah, then we initiate a new array list. Oh, that's good. Yeah, I forgot about that. That's good. So it only creates the list when there's no unit, when there's no unit, when you want to put units on there. It creates the array list when there's no units yet. Good. And we first check if no. Yes. Okay. Placeable units. Seem to be very excitedly moving the mouse around. Seems more like being frustrated. Yes, I added a unit to it. Yep, I just throw in the code there. Oh, I put in the unit in the wrong method. Hope I see that. Oh yeah, I saw it. But yeah, then I have to have some value for on the field for a unit, of course. Set to void. Yeah, at least I know that's when you don't have a return type for method. That at least I know. Why, 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 why do I? Oh, okay, I just type a new thing. Arraylist units on tile. Why is it called get units on tile? It's kind of weird. No, I just want a method to get units out of that array, don't I? Add units on tile. Oh yeah, no, of course. If there's multiple units, that's a list too. I'm probably confused with that. Not sure, maybe. Yeah, oh yeah, that's just a list. It returns. That returns. Oh yeah, units on tile. Yeah, that just returns the list. Yeah. Oh yeah, it says it. We simply return the list. Good. Nice. And then I should end. Now I should end. Add a print function to this so that I can see what's in there. It's called. And as far as I know, I can just add it in this method, for example. Like I said, I haven't used it at all. I print stuffies. And now I'm starting to wanting to add a unit to tile, and I'm calling the grid. And yeah, then I need something to select the tile. Add unit to units on tile. So yeah, now I'm probably stuck. Looking around a bit. Yeah, now I should be able to access the corridor and the culture tile for starters, and put a unit on there. But to which one? Huh? Like no, yeah. I need a select a get tile, select tile, both. I need a method to get a tile, and I need with the mouse be able to select a tile, and then place the unit there. That's actually what I start doing in my next video. Maybe I started here already. I have about a quarter of an hour of footage left now, but in my files I named the next part of footage something about starting select tile start. So I called the next one select tile start. Yeah, I now try to access tile, but that's not possible. I think it's even an abstract class. Is it abstract? I think they can all be abstract. I have to look in that. So yeah, now I access culture tile that I can access right away. And that for the first hunter, that is okay, I think, because I think the first hunter would be cool to be able to place on a culture tile. What am I trying to do? That's the operator again. Or. That means or. Or maybe I wanted to put corridor tile in there as well. Something like that. Go ahead, do your thing. Haven't got all day. So apparently I don't like it and I take it out again. Okay, so I see that I do start here to create a field of tile in the Gameloop class. I need that, of course, to be able to select the tile. Oh yeah, and I'm looking in the mouse selection thingies. I'm definitely thinking about how I can implement something to select the correct tile. But I will really go into that in the next video. If my naming is correct. So now this video will probably be long enough anyway. I have about 2 hours of recording now from over 3.5 hours of footage. Because this was 3 pieces of footage I had. If I include the the little thingy with the image of the hunter was very short. But so that's 2 hours. I think that's pretty nice. And then yeah, when you're watching this, you see the final length of the video because I can cut quite something out. And yeah, so it will probably be like 1.5 hours. That seems to be long enough. I will watch this to the end to see if I do something more. A shape. Yes. I'm still in Gameloop. Yes. Oh, did I copy that and that I missed it? The click point. Why didn't it work? Yeah, I just met it. I don't need to redo the whole code there. I need to create a nice neat method in the user interface class, I guess. Where do I have that? Where did I get it from? Click point. Yeah, it's in user face click point. Yeah, here in user interface I have the mouse events, but not that code that I just had in Gameloop, I think. I don't know on the from the top of my head. I don't know where I got that from. I have that in the use that in the no, that was a click. I know the mouse over. I use that to highlight, and the highlight function I probably have in board element. It's very high in the class hierarchy. Contains click point. Yeah, yeah, like here I just reference, but for some reason you're missing a T, man. What elements? Oh yeah, like here. I use this highlighted stuff. I have that in what elements? Is it just a T that's missing? No. Oh, so I'm probably wondering why that doesn't work. Point is also contains point. Not sure what this contains point, if it does anything at all. I'm not sure what I'm even trying to do there. Running headlong into a new challenge, it seems. Yeah, but not still after, well, looking at this, not quite sure why effectively I cannot get that access to that shape. Ah, maybe because I don't need a function to add to tile clicked on. Yes, a method. So yeah, but that will be continued next video. So if you made it this far, thanks for watching, and see you next time. Oh, and here I type and a way to access the correct tile. Yes, tile type and tile and everything. So see you next time. Bye bye.